Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Watchaholic. Welcome back. I am so happy to see you. So guys, today we are getting back into it. We are getting back into our Bridgerton breakdowns and recaps. Today, guys, today we're going to be covering Bridgerton season 2, episode 7, entitled Harmony. That is right. That is right. That is what we will be covering today. And I am so excited to get into this episode because I just rewatched it and I've got thoughts. I've got lots and lots of thoughts. So I can't wait to share that with you. But first, if you are watching this on YouTube, please don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment down below. And of course, if you're listening on the podcast, please don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. That would be really helpful and beneficial to me. So thank you. But guys, yes, let's get straight into it because as you know why you're here, you know why you're clicked. And as always, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for listening. Let's get into it. So this episode, guys, this episode was a good one. I think I like it more than episode 6. Not that I don't like episode 6, because as I mentioned before, I actually genuinely liked episode 6. It's just not my overall favorite. But episode 7 is up there on my higher ups of episodes that I do like of this season. But yeah, so this episode basically picks up from what happened at the end of the last episode, which is where Anthony and Kate kissed. Oh yeah, did they kiss? They kissed, and it was pretty freaking magical. Fireworks should have gone on then. Fireworks should have gone on because it was such a beautiful kiss. Which, by the way, if you haven't listened to my last episode, you can click up right up here below where you can see episode 6. And of course, if you're listening, you can just, go and look for episode 6, where I definitely dive deep into episode 6. But yeah, so this episode really shows off the consequences from the last episode. Now Kate and Anthony have to go out into society and still kind of hide their feelings from pretty much everyone who doesn't know. Still, they still have to keep their feelings pretty deep down and just hide that from everyone else, because now that there was no wedding, nobody wants to talk to the Sharmas or the Bridgertons. And it's like, it's just the talk of the ton, and basically no one wants anything to do with them, which is really sad. Because as Eloise will later on say, all of this is happening because a woman merely changed her mind. I mean, she didn't change her mind, but, still. Just because people change their minds on getting weddings, it doesn't mean like it's the end of the world. But here we are. It is Bridgerton, so it is the end of the world. But yeah, so we had that in the episode. We also got the Queen and her suspicions on who Lady Whistledown is. She thinks she's kind of narrowed it down to the one, which we will get into in this episode. And of course, we are left with a dramatic cliffhanger. I'm pretty sure that kept most of us in suspense on what was going to happen in the next episode. But I'm always thankful because at least these episodes are all just premiered. We could see all 10 episodes, or is it 10? No, excuse me, all 8 episodes. We don't have to wait like we used to back in the day, where it was like, oh, you have to wait a week to watch the episode. I mean, sometimes Netflix does that with certain shows, but Bridgerton is not the one. Bridgerton was like, no, y'all can binge this for as long as you want. Which, by the way, yes, we have been binge watching this season for a very long time. Yes, we have. Yes, it's been over a month and we're all still very much obsessed. Just ask TikTok. Just ask anyone. They're still watching it. But also, finally, in this episode, we do get it. Anthony and Kate, yeah, they go there in that episode, and I have thoughts on that scene, because it's it is a spicy scene indeed. And it's actually been a while, but before I just, like I said before, I had just watched this episode, and guys, it's been a while because I took a break from last week, but I thought I'd be okay. And as soon as I started watching the episode, I was like, well, Anthony Bridgerton has gotten me again. The man has gotten me. We all just can't move on. But anyway, let's get into it. Let's get into it. Okay, so we're gonna start off the episode with basically, you know, Kate and Anthony are still just rethinking the last couple of moments they had with each other, especially Kate. She's really rethinking that last kiss she had with Anthony, and she's like touching her lips, and some people are even questioning what else would have happened if someone did knock on the door, but let's not get into that. But she's just really rethinking that, and she just, you know, she's in love with the man. Makes sense. And then we go into this really awkward bath scene where it's Lady Mary, Edwina, and Kate in the baths. They're all getting a bath. It's weird, they're all getting a bath together. They're not together, they're in their own like separate bathtubs, but in the same room. And basically it's just awkward. They're all just sitting there in silence. Edwina's clearly still really mad at Kate. Kate tries to talk to her, and Edwina just gets up and leaves. And Lady Mary tells her, you should try the lily soap today. It's good for the nerves. And the lily soap, yeah, we'll get into that, but that will be talked about later on in the episode, because who knew the lily soap was very important to Sir Anthony Bridgerton. Like, it's legit, it's a thing. But yeah, you just see how sad Kate is. Like, it's killing her inside that her sister is not talking to her, that she's created this mess, even though it's not really her fault entirely. I mean, this is really Anthony's fault. Sorry, Anthony, I love you, but you never should have proposed to Edwina. You just shouldn't have. You just shouldn't have. But anyway, yeah, basically the next couple of scenes are everyone's just deciding they're going to go on a family promenade. Anthony is just like, okay, fine, Mom, if that's what you said. And oh my God, this is a side boy, but have you guys noticed Anthony Bridgerton eating grapes? It's pretty magical to watch. It really is. It's, when you rewatch that scene, just watch him in the background eating the grapes. It's a very sexy man eating grapes, I'm just saying. It just looks really good. I don't know why. I think it's just because Jonathan Bailey could just make anything look freaking hot. But yeah, they're all like, all right, let's all go out together as a family to make it look like everything's great, blah, 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 blah. And I swear, oh, and I noticed this, and I swear, if Mr. Anthony Bridgerton, Sir Anthony Bridgerton, one more time says that he's a respectable gentleman, I will throw hands. Because Anthony, you are not a respectable gentleman. Respectable gentlemen don't do things like that with other ladies they're not married to. You know, we don't say that they're the bane of our existence. Get really close to them and almost kiss them and want to hold their hands when they're not together and want to do nasty things to them and tell them that to their face. No, gentlemen don't do that. I mean, please don't be a gentleman. We'd rather you not be a gentleman, Anthony. We want you to just be yourself. But stop declaring every episode that you're a gentleman, because we all know you ain't a gentleman, my boy. My boy, you ain't a gentleman. We love you though. We love you. But yeah, so basically after that, the Queen shows up to the Bridgerton's house, wants to talk to Eloise. Oh my, I wonder what that means. We'll get into it. We'll get into it. But yeah, basically both families, fast forward, both families are promenading. We've got the Sharmas promenading, and we've got the Bridgertons promenading, and nobody wants to look at them. And it's really sad because people are just really taking this so fucking serious. It's ridiculous. But one of my favorite takeaways from the Sharma side is how pissed Edwina is. Like, beyond pissed. Like, she just does not want to be there, and it's actually pretty good. She's just so pissed. You can't just hide it. Like, anybody who would see that family would be like, well, clearly something went wrong, because they're not happy. They're really upset about it. So if this was a mutual decision, then why is she walking around all pissed? Because she looked pissed. Just saying, she looks really, really pissed. Pissed. But oh my God, guys. Oh my God. This one little snippet, I about died. I literally about died. We had Anthony and Kate lock eyes across the promenade. I can't. the want, the need to be together. It was just all in the way he looks at her in that just, it's probably like a 5-10 second look, but you could just see so much with both of their eyes, how they want to be together, how they need to be together. Anthony's literally looking at her for confirmation, like, oh my God, like, we kissed and I want to go over there and I want to be with you. And the way Kate looks at him back and how she's just like wants him so bad as well and loves him so bad, but just is also telling him like, no, like we can't do this, we can't be together. And it's heartbreaking. It's literally heartbreaking, but also just kisses of a scene. My God. If there were any better looks in life, I swear these two would win. Like, if there was an Oscar for the best looks ever given in a season, they would win every time. I will continue to say, I don't know how they will top this season. I don't know. I don't see anybody being as good as they are. Sorry. I'm worried. I'm worried for season 3. But back at the Bridgerton households, we've got Miss Eloise and the Queen, and basically the Queen is calling her out and saying, hey, I know you're Lady Whistledown. And Eloise is like, no, like, that's not me, I'm not her. She's like, please, I know it's you. I'm gonna give you 3 days to confess, and if not, I'm gonna squish you like a bug. Oh my. Well, shit just got real for Eloise, let's just say that. Shit just got real. And I feel so bad because, like, she's just really putting herself in the situation. It's just nearly by just being curious and, you know, wanting, not political radicals, but, you know, just going out there and being herself. And now because she was seen with Theo in the lower class of town, they think that she's Lady Whistledown. And I don't think that enough should be enough to be like, she's the one just because she was there. Like, I don't know. I don't think that should be enough to, you know, make her the prime suspect, but here we are. And it's just so sad. It breaks my heart. It breaks my heart for poor Eloise. Oh. But basically, okay, so you've got the Sharmas and Bridgertons. We're getting back with them. Basically, they both decide, okay, well, it's not going well for both of us, so let's, like, get together. So they go back to, I think it's, who's that? Oh, it's Danbury's house. And they're all there. And basically, they're just having a meeting about what they can do to, you know, stop all of this from continuing. Like, what can we do to have people stop talking about us? And Edwina, everyone's just so uncomfortable being there. Edwina hates everyone. And guys, the scene. Let's talk about let's just get into it. That scene. But we're basically, it's the famous scene, the famous line where Edwina says, was I truly that blind? I mean, it is a favorite line because you were truly that blind. You were, Edwina. You were very blind. And how anybody else didn't see that? Y'all are also blind. I blame every single person who did not notice this before the freaking wedding. Other than Daphne. Daphne was the only one who was like, clocked that shit. Clocked it, clocked it, clocked it. Everybody else was blind. But basically the scene goes that they're all talking. They're like, we should throw a ball. And everyone's like, oh, really, a ball? And then Anthony's just like really against it. He's like, no, we shouldn't throw a ball just so that everyone can tell more like how bad this wreckage is. And then Edwina, you know, trying to dig at Anthony's like, well then, maybe we should do a ball because, you know, my sister and Sir Anthony Bridgerton were so good at hiding their feelings. Maybe they wouldn't mind doing it for a little bit longer. I was like, ooh. The tea. I said, girl. She is throwing knives. She's throwing knives, or excuse me, daggers. She's throwing daggers. She's still so pissed. But then you have Newton come in and he's like barking at Anthony, but like in a good way because he likes him now. And Kate's like, oh no, shoo, Newton. No, stop, whatever. And then he runs away and Anthony and Kate lock eyes. And I swear that man, he did some evil, he did some bad things to her in that look. Yeah, he looked at her up and down and saw through her soul, imagined his whole life with her in that one moment. I swear to God. I mean, it's fucking good. It is so good. And, you know, back at them, you know, the chemistry between these two, I can't. like, they're just such good actors. The connection that they have in that scene is, in every scene that they're in, is just, it's just clocked, man. It is so much good acting going on between them two. And the fact that, you know, Johnny Bailey is gay in real life and he's playing this straight character so well, it still astonishes me. Like, it literally still astonishes me. And I love every single moment of him and Simone Ashley on screen together, because they are electric. And I can't stop talking about them because they're just that good. I cannot stop talking about them. But anyway, it's really funny. What's her name? Lady Danbury is like, a passing look between you two and it'll be the break of us all, basically. Like, y'all can't look at each other at any party because everybody will know. And you know, this is me going back to it. I'm like, guys, they've been giving each other these looks for ages. And you're telling me that no one noticed this? No one noticed this. Y'all are all blind. Everyone is blind. Like, are you kidding me? My freaking God. I mean, do we not remember the dancing on my own freaking, like, scene in episode 4? How did no one know then? Did no one notice how they were looking at each other then? Because I cannot. Okay. Anyway, so after that, we've got Anthony and Violet. She kind of, you know, Anthony, and at this point, everyone's just agreed, okay, we're gonna go on another promenade. We're gonna pretend everything's fine. We're gonna throw this ball. Everything's gonna be fine. And Anthony leaves. Violet chases after him, and she's like, hey, kind of guilts him. And it's like, it's a really sad scene because she's basically telling him, like, hey, we wouldn't be in this situation if it wasn't for your stupid ass. And 2, if at the end of this, you still don't have anyone to marry. And I feel so bad because we all know, and Anthony himself knows also, that he has made a really bad mistake. He's fucked up. And it's basically what he tells you. He's like, Mom, do you want me to tell you that I fucked up? I know. I realize. And I know that I've, you know, disappointed you and Father in more ways than you think, or more ways than you can count, or something like that. And it's sad. It really is, because yeah, he shouldn't have done that. But he's in this predicament really because at the end of the day, you know, he was thrown into all of this. He doesn't want to be in love. He doesn't want any of these things. And it all stems back to the fact that he was just thrown into being a Viscount, and Violet wasn't there for him. She just kind of was like, out of it, and he had to raise everyone and do everything. She's kind of all in this predicament. I'm not saying it's Violet's fault, but it all stems from that. And it just hurts my soul because I don't think she's realized that yet. And she will in the next episode. But the scene just is a little bit sad because she's just like, well, who are you gonna marry? You're still by yourself. And he's just like, really? Can't anybody else do this, Mom? Like, stop freaking throwing this in my face. I understand I fucked up. So it's really, it's sad. It really is sad. But next, okay, going on, we got Eloise, Penelope. Basically, Eloise tells Penelope, the queen knows, she knows everything. And Pen just is, at this point, I'm just like, I'm so over Penelope. I love Lady Whistledown, but I'm so over Penelope. I just want her to tell Eloise, like, the truth. And the fact that she just keeps holding this back and not telling anyone, it just upsets me, and I'm over it. But she basically tells Eloise, like, hey, don't tell the queen that it is you. Don't tell her, don't give in. Just wait until Lady Whistledown prints her paper and maybe it'll free you from the queen thinking. And I'm like, Eloise, she literally just told you that she's Lady Whistledown. Like, why aren't you paying attention? Why are you not paying attention? Oh my God, the secrets and also the blindness that people have. She's literally telling you that she is Lady Whistledown. But yes, then we're skipping ahead. A couple things happen, nothing really of importance I really want to mention other than like some Featherington stuff. Penelope and Colin. Colin's trying to get into business with the Featheringtons, which is a bad idea because obviously we all know that they're scamming people. So yeah, it's just stuff I don't really care about talking about. Sorry, we're moving on. Sorry. But basically we've got a scene where they're all meeting. I think it's like at a museum or something like that. And Anthony shows up and he has flowers for everyone and he gives one to Edwina. And Edwina grabs it and just gives it to the footman. Like, just grabs it, like, can't stand him. Like, she's like, thanks for, like, she didn't even say thank you. She just looks at him, grabs the flowers and just like, and moving on. It's really, really funny. But guys, this is also a really popular scene within our Bridgerton community, or Bridgerton fans, fanatics, obsessors out there. But this is the scene where basically yeah, Anthony smells Kate. Anthony walks in front of her to go inside, and he breathes in her scent, and it is feral, but it is, oh my God. And freaking Lady Danbury catches him, and she's just like, he's just like so serious. He's like, okay, I'm going in. But like, oh my God, the fact that she catches him like smelling the air that she was just in, feral. Everyone loves the scene because it's another level, and I'm here for it. I'll take it. But inside, everyone's kind of paired off. Lady Mary is paired off with Anthony, and they're all walking around the museum. And, you know, she basically admits to Anthony that, you know, it's not entirely his fault of everything that's happening here. She basically has, you know, left all the burden onto onto Kate. And I think that's the moment where Anthony realizes, like, oh my God, like we have this in common. Like we both have done so much for our families. We've given ourselves the burden of this family and taken on the burdens of the family. And you could see it in that split moment that he realizes it, and he starts to look for her in the room. And it's beautiful, because it is that like wake up of like, well, oh shit, like there's more to Kate than even I knew. And it's a really beautiful moment. And also a moment that I'm just like, all right, well, I'm glad that Lady Mary says something, and I'm hoping that she will say something eventually, which she will next episode. But, you know, it's nice to see that she realizes, like, she effed up. But moving on, we've got Theo and Eloise. I was so excited when I saw them together, and then I got really sad again, because basically Eloise goes down to see him and just be like, hey, like, are you doing okay? And he's just like, what are you talking about? Like, no, like you know, you can't be here. He's just basically freaked out because, you know, at this point, like, you know, he's realizing that she's, you know, from a higher class than he is, and he just is really scared of what that would bring, and how people are talking about them, and that's not good, especially because he is involved in political things, and she's from a higher class than he is, and he's in a lower class, and she doesn't realize what it's like to be in the lower class, like how that really is a very different life. So he kind of shoos her away, and it's really sad because she's there to, you know, see if he's okay and just to talk to him, and she's like, no, like you need to leave. So he leaves. But yeah, then we also have this like next scene. We're going back to that little museum. We've got Edwina basically just being a little bitch. Moving on. I just can't take it. She just doesn't get it. She just doesn't see what Kate was doing. She still has this wall, and is just still so upset that she's just like not letting reason in, and I'm just over it. But then you have Anthony sneaking around to see Kate, and it's so precious because you could see it, the twinkle in this man's eye, and he's like hiding behind us, like on the other side of the statue that Kate's on one side of the statue and he's on the other, and he's like, hey, I wanted to find a moment for us to speak alone together. And he's like wanting to have a moment with her, and she still feels so guilty, and feels even more guilty about the fact they kissed. And Anthony's just like, yeah, but we kissed. And she's like, we didn't kiss. Like, there's no world that could have happened. And he's like, are you quite serious? It's actually hilarious when he says, are you quite serious? Because she's really trying to avoid the conversation, avoid the fact that she gave into those feelings for him, and that they shared that moment together. She's like, no, we're erasing that. That didn't happen. We should be ashamed of what we did. And you could just see that he's like kind of upset about it. He's kind of like, wait, what? What do you mean? Like, no, this happened. It happened. Bitch, it happened. We all saw it. It did happen. But yeah, it's really, really sad. But let's fast forward because we're getting into the juice of the episode. Now we're really getting juicy towards the end. Those last 10 minutes of this episode they are juicy, my friends, juicy. But basically they go to Bridgertons and the Sharmas show up to the Bridgerton ball, and no one shows up. So no one's there. And for the first time, Anthony just decides to let loose. This is the first time we see him let loose. And he decides, well, no one's here. And you know what? The theme of tonight is harmony. So let's just all dance together. And he brings out Hyacinth and George, I don't know, the youngest kid down, and they all dance together. It's such a beautiful moment. The families like getting together and dancing and celebrating in this, I mean, not celebrating, but just like taking in this moment together. And it's precious. It's such a beautiful scene. I loved seeing everyone dance together and kind of laugh and forget about what's going on. They're like, fuck it, let's just dance and have a good night. And when Anthony decides like, hey, we're just gonna dance, him and Kate lock eyes, and it's in that moment where she's like, wow, he's showing this different side of him. He's letting loose. He's having a little bit more fun. And it's a beautiful moment. And I love it. And they do end up kind of dancing together. And they're laughing and having such a good time. And it's wonderful. And then Lady Whistledown. Yeah, basically, they find out Lady Whistledown has printed. And the reason why no one showed up to their ball is because she wrote about Eloise, and Penelope basically outed her and told everyone that she's been rallying with political radicals in places that she should not be. So, and then they show Queen Charlotte looking at the letter, because obviously this means it's not Eloise, because why the hell would Eloise out herself in front of the queen like that? Like, clearly that's not her. And like, I get why Penelope did that, to quote unquote save her friend, but at the same time to save herself, because she didn't want to tell, obviously, the queen, she didn't want to tell anyone that she is Lady Whistledown. So the only way to do that was to destroy her friend, who she believes she is helping. But really, it's kind of both. She wants to save her friend, but she wants to save herself as well. Like, it's pretty obvious and really, really sad. I'm really interested to see where they go with season 3 with this, because we'll get to episode 8, but shit hits the fan hardcore. Hardcore. Okay, guys, now let's get into the last about five-ish minutes of this episode, because oh man, Kate and Anthony in the garden. Kate and Anthony in the goddamn garden. I mean, okay, so basically they both end up being in the garden. Kate gets there and Anthony's like, oh, like, what are you doing here? And she's like, oh, sorry, I'll leave. He's like, no, it's okay, you can stay. And she's like, no, I'm leaving. And then they start bickering. He's like, why do you have to be this way? Like, why can't you just agree? And she's just like, I won't agree. They just start bickering. She's like, I won't ever agree with anyone I wholeheartedly disagree with. And then he's just like, oh my God, he goes into it and he's just like, it's maddening how you consume my very being. Oh my God. I mean, the writers this season, man, the writers have written these freaking lines for the ages. The writing is so damn good in this season. It is so good. And I just can't imagine the people writing being like, these bitches don't even know what's coming. Like, you thought being in my existence was good. They don't know what's coming. But he says this, oh my God, this line. He says, basically he's talking about like his family's on the brink of ruin. He thinks his family hates him, even his own mother. And all he can find himself thinking about, all he can find himself being able to breathe for is her. He tells her that. And I just, oh my God, it's so beautifully acted. I can't. Jonathan Bailey in this scene is fucking precious. I mean, they're both amazing in the scene. But this is when,
forbidden desires.
It gets even more spicy. We decide that, you know, he throws out his favorite, I am a gentleman and you are a lady, of that. And he smells her. He smells her and he goes, Eloise. And you're like, oh, so that's that lily soap that that's what he smells, the lily soap that Lady Mary was talking about at the beginning of the episode. I was like, full circle, I see, full circle, here we go. So that's what he smells. It's the lilies, and that scent has been embedded in his mind since the day of the terrace, which is the day that they first officially had that conversation where she called him out in episode 1 when she was like, oh, you think women are breeding stock, you know, that's the day that he's saying, like, I remember that smell from that day and it has taken a hold of me. It's, oh my God, you could just, the tension starts to rise in this scene like no other. Like, it is some tension. Oh my God. But it's also in this scene that they really start to realize how much they have in common and how much it is that they have just been doing for their families and haven't done anything for them. Everything they do is for their families, and they both have that realization in the moment that maybe they should just do something for them. And guys, and then we go into the scene. But the way that Anthony Bridgerton my favorite is is when you read the subtitles where it says exhaling deeply. I said, oh, it's going down. It's about to go down. He says, go inside.
Go.
And then he says, go inside. And this is when freaking Kate is like, bet. She goes, and what did I tell you about your orders? Excuse me while I go and die in a corner at what is about to go down. But Anthony's fucking face is literally like, oh, bet. Shit is on. Shit is on. Basically, his face in that moment, boom, it's about to go down. And boy, does it go down. Well, literally. Can't get into it. Can't be showing anything either because it is a crazy, it's an intense sex scene. Not as crazy as like Anthony and, Simon and Daphne in the first season. It's nothing like that. It's actually more like, it's a little bit more tame, but it's still a sex scene, man. Ooh, my. Oh my. But he goes right into it, and he's like, he kind of stops himself. He's like, I'm gonna stop, I will stop. And she's like, don't stop. He's like, I will stop, don't stop. And I'm like, all right, no one's stopping, keep going. And yeah, they go for it. Pretty hard. I mean, like I said, it's not pretty hardcore, but it's definitely like, definitely more from a female's perspective, I will say. But it's still really, it's good. It's good. It's good. We should all ask Kate, so how was it? Oh, I mean, if we did see season 1, we do know that Anthony's a very sexual man indeed, but we'll get into that another time off the pod and off the YouTubes, I see. But basically, we wake up the next morning. Anthony is left. He has been left by himself because they stayed out in the garden. I said, did no one see them? Did no one find them? I guess not. So he wakes up in the morning. He's kind of has a smile on his face like, yes, I just did it with the girl that I love. And then you realize she's not there. And then you see Kate basically running into her room, and this is when we get Kate's perspective of the sex scene. And guys, it is nothing like what we actually saw. Like, when you see it from her perspective, there is some shit, some angles, and some shots that we did not see in the other version a couple minutes ago, because we can't even talk about it. But let's just say there are some angles and there are some other things that are shown that had me literally dying. I said, excuse me, what? Excuse me, what, Mr. Bridgerton? But yeah, so Anthony basically runs back to his home, gets dressed, gets the ring, and he gets the ring. You're like, oh shit, he's gonna go propose. It's pouring rain outside. He looks super hot. He gets to her house, and he's like, I'm here to see Kate. I'm here to see Miss Sharma. And they're like, okay. And then they're like, oh, they're like, I'm sorry, she's not here. And he's like, what? And then you hear somebody say one of the horses is gone, and that's when he clicks it. He's like, oh, I know where she's at, because, you know, he's bumped into her. He knows where she goes on her run every morning, on her run, modern times, on her horseback ride every morning. He knows where she is. So he shoots to the scene where they're like both riding their horses. It's pouring rain, and she's running because she's running away from what has just happened. She's like, fuck, I just slept with him. And I'm not even married to him. I slept with him. She is fucked up. She is like, I don't know what to do. She starts running. So she's running away on her horse, I guess. Where was she going? I have no idea where she was going. I don't know if she was like, all right, I'm running away back to India. I don't know where the hell she was going to the airport. I have no idea where she was going. But she's riding this horse really hard, and Anthony's like, Miss Sharma. He's like yelling after her, and she's just like ignoring him because she's pretty far ahead. And then he notices that the horse, she's about to go over this bush, and he realizes the horse isn't going to make it. And he's like, no, 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 no. And then you see the horse kind of leap up, because like about to leap, but it can't, so it stops itself mid-air. And then the whole scene's in slow motion, and you just hear Anthony say, Kate. Oh my God, when he says her name, he says her name, her first name, not Miss Sharma, like he's been calling her this whole season. He says Kate. And that's when you're like, well, he called her Kate. Like, this is somebody who means so much to him. This isn't some random girl. No, this is Kate, the love of his life, who he is seeing about to just fall off this horse. So it goes back to her shot, and she's on the horse, and boom, falls, hits her head on the floor. And there's like this nice angle of the shot from just the top, and you just see her laying on the floor, and he yells again, Kate. And then he runs, or gallops off with the horse off the frame of the scene. And that is the end of the episode. Guys, could you believe that they ended the episode like that? Those guys, how dare they do that to us? I mean, that was intense. What a dramatic, like the last 10 minutes, I think it's about 10 or 15 minutes of this episode were so fucking good. Oh my God. From the whole scene, from the moment, from the dance scene to the end is pure gold, pure amazingness of an episode. It is written, it is directed, it is acted, all of it is amazing. And I love every second of it. I love it. So guys, that was the end of episode 7. Episode 7. I can't believe it. Oh my God. Like I said before, this is one of my favorite episodes, definitely in my top 5 out of all 8. It's not a lot, but it's definitely like up more, I think, up on my list than it is lower on my list. Just a great episode of just more of Kate and Anthony's, you know, realization that they are just really into each other. Now, I don't think, like, obviously we know that they're in love with each other, but they just haven't made those declarations yet. But it's just so obvious that they are meant to be together, that they love each other deeply. And just those scenes that you get where they're just longing for each other and wanting to be so close, that at the end, when we get to that sex scene, it is well earned. It is well earned. And I know a lot of people complained about the fact that this season didn't have sex. I really could give two shits about that, because the season was so much more about it being a physical thing. Like, this is an emotional thing. It's them really breaking that idea that they can't be happy, that they can't find love, that they can't be married with someone that they do love. You know, there's so much more going on than it just being like, oh, I want to bang that girl, you know, which, not that that's what season 1 was, because season 1 was more about Daphne's awakening her sexuality and things like, or awakening her sexuality with this man, and also falling in love. You know, it's a little bit different. This season is not about the sex, and I honestly didn't miss it. I was perfectly happy with the scene that I got. It was very different from also the first season, where it wasn't just like a whole sex scene, like sex in one episode. It was just like they had sex in that one moment, and it is also from a very different perspective. The way that it's filmed, what is going on in it is very female perspective, female based. It's not just about like this guy who's after this woman and wants to have sex with her. There's so much more going on with it, and I really actually enjoyed. If you haven't listened to the Bridgerton podcast, they had the intimacy coordinator on the episode talk about the scene, or about just filming sex scenes in general on the show, and you know how important it is, and they get to do these scenes and how it's filmed, and all the thought that goes behind exactly what is going on. Why is he touching her this way? Why the idea of how comfortable they have to be, and thinking about the different ways that it's going to come across as to why the sex scene is going on. What's the reasoning? What's the what would I say? What's the word? Objective. Like what do we want to convey in the sex scene? And I think they did a beautiful job. It's actually one of the only sex scenes I could watch and not be like, ooh, the first time maybe, but like now I'm just like, oh man, it is getting spicy in here, and it's fine. But anyway, so guys, that is the end of today's episode. Let me know, comment down below if you really enjoyed this episode of it's episode 7, one of your favorites. Let me know, what is your favorite part of this episode? And of course, I will be back next week. Yes, I will be back next week talking about our final episode, episode 8, which is my second favorite episode of the whole season. It is my, oh my God, it's my second favorite. Like that does not move. Number 1 and number 2 and number 3 do not move their slots, because they're just such fantastic episodes, and just everything about them I absolutely love. So yeah, I'm so excited to cover that next week. But guys, like I said, if you're watching this on YouTube, please don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like and comment down below. And also let me know if you're also enjoying these breakdowns. And if you are listening on my podcast, you know what to do. Rate and review. As always appreciate you guys. I love you. Thank you so much for all the love that you've been giving me recently. I really, really, really appreciate it. But guys, you know the drill. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for listening. And I'll see you guys in the next video and episode.